Welcome to the Olympic Stadium in Rome. Two teams in our featured match today who can testify to the fleeting nature of glory in football. Roma have a sure touch in cup football at the moment, but they're finding league wins on this ground most elusive, while Sampdoria's chances of retaining the championship are already in ruins. The favourites to succeed them are Milan. In midweek, their rearranged match at home to Genoa was played, and Thomas Ravi swept Genoa into the lead after 12 minutes. Milan's unbeaten record in some danger. They forced 15 corners to Genoa's none, but it took a foul by Torrente on Rijkaard to save Milan from defeat. The offence right under the nose of referee Lucci. Only 5 minutes left, but Marco van Basten unruffled by the pressure. So at the start of the 11th round of matches, Milan are 2 points clear of Juventus. But supporters of Roma and Sampdoria having to look at the lower half to locate their teams. For Sampdoria, a tumble of spectacular dimension, particularly after a promising start to the season. Roma's plight less dramatic, but they need to prove a point today in front of their own fans. The Roma side today shows just one change from that which surrendered a lead here against Napoli last week, and that's at number 4. Bonacina is suspended. Giovanni Piacentini takes his place. Ottavio Bianchi, like all of us, I think, will scrutinise Sampdoria's spirits today. The skill of the side surely not in doubt. They must manage without Roberto Mancini, a late withdrawal. Tonino Cerezo has been the sweeper. We'll more likely see him in midfield today, with Dario Bonetti taking over the job at the back. A damp afternoon in Rome, a lot of heavy overnight rain, and a chance now to assess this extraordinary slump by the champion Sampdoria, who lost only 3 league games all last season. They've lost 5 already this. They haven't won since late September, but nor to have Roma. And they can't point to a home victory at all in the league this season. So you do feel that something has got to give this afternoon. Thomas Hessler's tackle, and Sampdoria with the added handicap of being without Roberto Mancini, who failed a test on a damaged thigh. Here's Rizzitelli for Roma. Hessler using the full width of the pitch. And across came the senior of the 2 Bonetti brothers in the Sampdoria side today, Dario. Oddly enough, both clubs have been doing well in Europe. Maybe that's been some sort of distraction for them from their domestic priorities. Alongside me, Alan Hansen, who knows this stadium very well, won the European Cup here against Roma with Liverpool. Alan, good afternoon to you.
Good afternoon, Martin. The memories come flooding back. But both sides needed the points desperately. The onus is on the home side to come and attack, to go and attack. And I think that's exactly what Roma are doing at the moment. They've started particularly well in the game, and a couple of good crosses in. And like I say, the onus is on them to attack Sampdoria.
Yes, I think the feeling here is that a draw would suit Sampdoria. Mancini on the right, Mannini on the left, 2 key men in the championship season, but both confined to being spectators today through injury. Here's Di Mauro, funneling back for Roma. And I just wonder whether the European Cup involvement and Sampdoria's attempts to try and move on from being domestic champions to champions of the continent has been part of the distraction here in their disappointing form. But with Vialli as elusive as this and Aldair chopping him down, there's certainly hope for them in this game, and that they will soon be climbing the table.
That's good play from Vialli. He goes one way, comes back the other way, turns the defender, and he's no option but to bring him down. But this is quite a dangerous position.
Catanets, the number 3, attacks the ball with relish in these circumstances, but that's too long for him. There's always Vierkovod as well, who's got a good record on this ground. It wasn't Vialli who got the winning goal here in the league last season, it was the defender Vierkovod, and he scored in the league game a 1-1 draw the previous season as well. But since then, these two sides have met in last year's Italian Cup final, and it was Roma who came out on top over the two legs, 4-2 on aggregate, and most of the damage done in this stadium, a 3-1 win at the end of May. So Sampdoria were denied the domestic double.
He's up there all on his own, isn't he, Vialli? I mean, they're going to pack the middle of the park and just try and play. They'll definitely come to get a draw. And as we've said before, the onus is definitely in Roma to try and go and win the points.
Vialli having to come a bit deeper. I must say, can't read his mind, but the expression was not a particularly contented one we saw a few seconds ago, as he knows what's expected of him, but he and Mancini have this almost telepathic understanding, and when Mancini's missing, I'm sure it's not as enjoyable for Vialli to play in any game. Silas. Lombardo. Ivano Bonetti is the other Sampdoria player involved wide on the left, but Lombardo takes them all on. And Piacentini turned and looked in disgust at Lombardo and had a word with him to say, well, you were trying to con the referee here. And I think he had a case, Piacentini. Lombardo, having got through, it seemed, Alan, then threw himself down.
He should have kept going, Martin. He was clean through. Great play from Sampdoria. He was clean through and he should have kept going.
Trudin Boskov, who was the hero of the hour, the Sampdoria coach, when they clinched the championship for the very first time, of course. And now having to live with those who are calling for his head.
Well, it's always going to be harder to retain the championship than actually win it. And Sampdoria are finding that out this season. I've been quite impressed the way they've played in the first 25 minutes here. They played a lot of good stuff. And I'm just wondering that if they did take a chance and, you know, got a couple of men forward to support it, they would do quite well.
Here's Lombardo again. That's a lovely ball. And I spoke about Catanets in the air earlier, and once more he sensed where the cross was going to arrive.
Fabulous ball in from Lombardo. I mean, it looks like he's going to bring it to the back post, and he just chips it and dinks it inside. And it was a good header and a good save.
Here's Carboni. Vola. Lombardo not neglecting the defensive side of his midfield duties. Clary. That's a foul. We're halfway through the first half. And after no more really than a flurry in the first 5 minutes or so from Roma, they're finding it much harder now to get hold of the ball and work with it. Here's Lana. Well, it drops for Vialli. And it's beaten away by Giovone. Vialli hesitating, and then with not much backlift, getting good power into the shot. Here he is again. And knocked away off the head of Vierkevod, who'd come forward initially at the free kick. And Roma almost playing as the away side here, trying to find some space on the counter-attack, trying to satisfy these demanding supporters of theirs, but not doing a very good job of it at the moment, as Sampdoria are showing that, despite the results, they still have plenty of top quality in their personnel. Lombardo. It's almost an exercise in keeping the ball. No sooner do you say that than Lombardo plays a very wasteful pass.
You made the right point, Tomas. It looks as though Sampdoria, the home side of them, and just before, two great bits of play from Vialli. One step and hit, sign a great player. Just take it one step to the side and hit it.
Di Mauro.
It has turned into a really good game.
Sampdoria not just settling for keeping Roma out, but they are still approaching their target here for Vujadin Boskov in a measured way, and they're good enough to do that. They're supporting the player in possession well. There's good movement off the ball, and they're looking a growing threat to the Roma goal.
The quality of the play definitely belies the position in this table.
Catanets. And the collective organisation, there's a foul by Lombardo. Right under the nose of the referee. Lombardo gets a yellow card, bringing down Piacentini.
It was a little bit harsh, maybe.
Well, he's not a hatchet man.
No, he's only put his foot in. There were a couple of worse fouls before that. He's a little bit unfortunate there.
Well, I was about to say that the collective organisation of Sampdoria is becoming an increasing boost to individual confidence. Obviously, some of the players feeling the stress of the position in the table more than the others, and Ottavio Bianchi on the Roma bench, well, I'm sure he realised this wouldn't be a straightforward match. The Sampdoria were more reliable than their results have shown, and his team having to do much more of the defending at the moment. Silas to Lombardo. Carboni is the defender. And Lombardo waiting the moment for the cross, and a shot really that was a bolt from the blue, and Parry is saying that the goalkeeper touched that.
I think he did touch it. It was certainly a hell of a shot. Great first touch, and he hits it with his left foot. You can't really see, but the quality of Sampdoria's play is really good. Great to watch.
That was a good try from Fausto Parry. His left foot's his swinger usually, and he swung it.
He certainly swung at that one.
Di Mauro's cross. Oh, well, had that been miscued a little more dramatically by Vierkevod, Sampdoria might have been feeling that there was a curse on them.
I think he just took his eye off the ball as he went to play it.
Certainly they've been punished for their mistakes in recent games. Hessler. That was Lana coming in quickly for Sampdoria. Piacentini. Giannini did well with the bounce. Carboni's cross. Follows header. Giannini again. And Vierkevod able to clear it and allow Sampdoria to push out at least to the edge of the area. Di Mauro's cross. And Rizzitelli.
I think Baller pushed the defender. Or he might have been offside.
It's certainly no goal. I think it could have been both, Alan.
It might have been a touch of both. I think Baller pushed Lana. When the cross comes in, yeah, he definitely pushes him.
Silas. Now Vialli. Lombardo away out to the right. Catanet's able to help him. Oh, and Lombardo, who's caught one or two goalkeepers out from long range in the past. He's not really a predatory player in the penalty area, as we saw with his intentions when he tried to earn a penalty rather than go on and score earlier in this half. But just occasionally, he'll try to surprise a goalkeeper like that.
He must have great vision to see that the goalkeeper is off his line, or the goalkeeper really isn't concentrating, because he hit that from maybe 40 yards out on the right-hand side.
Sampdoria have a corner. Oh, and very nearly a goal. When the ball came off Vialli's head, then you thought the next stop would be the back of the net, but he got too much on the header, really.
It was a great ball in, and Cervoni, he was no man's land. It was just Vialli was just a bit unfortunate that he couldn't direct it into the goals, because if it had got in target, it was definitely a goal.
Aldair. They can't get it through to Rizzitelli. It's long from Lombardo, just to mix it up a little. And Piacentini playing it the way he was facing. Lombardo. Silas. Light handball by Giannini.
You made the right point though, Martin. I think Sampdoria are more comfortable on the ball than Roma. I think the threat that Roma have is Baller up front, whereas Sampdoria can play their way through the middle of the park. And as we said before, if Mancini had been playing, you feel that the killer ball could have come in. Vialli on the end of it, because the way Sampdoria played in the first half, they played some quality stuff.
And yet the Roma fans are hoping that their team have got enough time perhaps to take the lead here with Rizzitelli. Well, he took up an excellent position, and it was a superb deep cross.
It's the best chance of the first half, really. It was the kiss of death, me saying that, for Sampdoria, because that was a great ball in, and Rizzitelli, he's at the back post, he gets up well, but he's got to hit the target there.
So it is half-time, and Roma are still struggling to put behind them this jinx in their own stadium, where they haven't won a league game so far this season. Sampdoria without Mancini and Manini, but they've put on something of a show here. They played with neatness, they played perceptively and thoughtfully in midfield. They've made some chances. They haven't been quite ruthless enough in front of goal. Maybe their reward will come in the second half. Sampdoria start the second half. This is the second meeting between the two clubs this season. They met in the Italian Super Cup. It was a 1-0 win in Genoa to Sampdoria. The goal scorer, the man missing today, Roberto Mancini. So maybe it's not too much of a surprise that it's still 0-0 here. Giannini. Roma tried to start the first half at a fast pace. They will have a similar policy in mind here, but soon rather lost their way to the sheer skill of Sampdoria. Certainly Lombardo had a very lively first 45 minutes. Boskov will want more of the same from him. Giannini. Hessler finding himself a position in the centre, which is unusual, and Roma will hope for more from Giannini in a creative sense in the second half. One of the more thoughtful passers of the ball in the Italian First Division. It's a good run here from De Marchi. It's a terrific run. And there's that over the line. Foller makes sure that it is. It may well have been a goal in the first place. Just what the game needed, just what Roma needed. Made by De Marchi, firing on. And Rizzitelli was the player going towards the near post. And he was claiming that he got the ball over the line in the first place. And he certainly had a case for that. But like the good striker that he is, Rudi Völler hadn't lost his concentration. He wasn't appealing, he wasn't celebrating. He wanted to make absolutely sure.
I think the Sampdoria defence will be a bit disappointed that it didn't stop De Marchi coming through. He beat 3 players on the edge of the box, got to the byline, puts in a great cross. The first one was probably over. The ball was there just to make sure.
Roma 1, Sampdoria 0. Rizzitelli. Well, he must have flicked off Dario Bonetti. Rizzitelli very angry with the linesman, as you saw. Bonetti. In the first half, while it was level, Sampdoria played stylishly in this area and had the opportunities to go in front, but they didn't really attack them with total dedication. But they've got to now, especially Vialli and Hessler.
That
was committed to going in.
Looked a penalty to me, Martin. I'd like to see that one again.
We will. Vialli with eye on the ball, and there's definite contact.
Great touch from Vialli. I mean, the ball's in the air, and he's brought it down. He's gone towards the ball, and it really is a bad challenge, because Vialli's gone away from the goals.
Well, you said earlier, Alan, that Sampdoria need a break, and that need is getting desperate now. And Busso is going to be asked to play his part. Cerezo leaving it to Vialli, and not really reacting for the return pass straight away. Naylor clearing it with his weaker foot, keeping the ball in play, which only serves to let Sampdoria attack again. Solid header by Aldair. Here's Lana. Well, one back for Roma by Foller, who has all that traditional German competitiveness and self-belief to back up.
That was great play of all-round
game.
The tackle was worthy of a central defender there from Voller, you know, on the edge of his own box. And then he takes the ball on the left-hand side and attacks 3 defenders.
Had he got past the last one, then he wouldn't have been looking for a penalty.
No, he'd been looking for a goal.
Here he is again, wanting the ball. Carbone's cross. Rizzitelli rather alone in the middle. Giannini and Di Mauro on the fringes, and Carbone as well. That's a push by De Marchi. Busso waiting for the ball to go out of play. Cerezo might be asked to sit down again if Sampdoria could equalise in this attack. It doesn't look likely. Oh, it might do though, because a mistake by Di Mauro, which he made up for himself. But in any case, Lombardo was offside, so Sampdoria can make their change. And Renato Busso, who was swapped in the summer for Branca, who went to Fiorentina. Paddy's been speaking out of turn.
Good tactics for Bosco. You know, he's not going to wait till 10-15 minutes to go. He's putting Busso on early. So that means that, you know, they're going to have a go. And it's no good Sampdoria playing really well in the first half and come away with a defeat. You stand and fall by your results, and they need to get a result here today.
Yes, Cerezo taken off 10 minutes into the second half, and he's very popular still here in Rome from his days as a Roma player. 83 to 86, he was on their books. This is his 9th season, I think, in the Italian game. Off again, Voller going in fearlessly, but with a foot-high, dangerous play. It's regularly penalised in this league as soon as you show the studs. Right, Lana was hurt by the challenge. If it stays this way, Sampdoria with a scenario of looking to win the European Cup while trying to avoid relegation.
And that would be interesting.
And here is Vialli.
I really think they're too good.
Great volley.
To go into that scenario. It was a great finish, but unfortunately it was offside.
And he's taking it in very good part. Not remonstrating with the linesman, who I think was right. Vialli was looking to stay level, which would have meant that he would have been onside under the present regulation, but just got
It was actually a lot closer than it looked originally, the second time round.
But quite easy for the linesman to rule, because the actual pass travels such a short distance.
That's right, yeah, of course.
It's when they have difficulties is when it's a longer ball and the arc of vision is that much wider. It's a very, very difficult job. If you criticise them, I advise you to try it once in a while. Great ball from Lombardo, wonderful cross. Cervoni just, by being positive, made his own luck, really.
That's right, it's another great ball and very hard to defend against. And you feel as if the goalkeeper's done the wrong thing by coming out, but just being positive, as you said, made his own luck.
Now Carnevale limbering up for Roma. And Salsano as well, who is a former Sampdoria man. Been a lot of trading between these two clubs over the past 4 or 5 years. But the trading in the sense of the game is showing a profit for Roma at the moment. Salsano, who's very popular wherever he plays, as these tiny characters often are. They carry the sympathy of the crowd. Busso.
Would that mean I'd be in trouble with then, Martin?
Not a stylist like you, Alan. Giannini. Voller went right, possibly into an offside position, but the flag did stay down. Silas. Here's Ivano Bonetti. Just to go back to that charge off the line by Cervoni a couple of minutes ago, Alan, you played in front of Bruce Grobbelaar, who was prone to commit himself, and the point I was making, at least you know what he's going to do.
Of course, that's all right. If you know he's coming, then there isn't a problem. It's if they come and maybe stay halfway, or they don't come at all. At least, as you said, I really didn't think he should have come there, but at least he was very, very positive, and he got away with it, and sometimes you make your own luck at this game.
Do that in the tackling as well, as Catanets was serving Sampdoria then. Looks as though it's going to be a double switch for Roma. We've had 18 minutes of the second half. The referee still sorting out the foul on Catanets. Salsono, who played for Sampdoria between 1984 and 1990, won the Italian Cup with them on a couple of occasions. Oh, it's really Voller who's coming
I
up.
was actually just going to say, what really has impressed me in this game is the work rate of Rudi Voller. He's not just content with scoring goals, he's going to work hard for his team, and he's been a credit today to himself.
So it's the Germans who get the tug. Hessler didn't play in Belgium in midweek, but of course he's had all the emotion and the travelling of that. Back to the game before we fully dissect the thoughts of Ottavio Bianchi and Vialli and Ivano Bonetti working a passage down the left-hand side.
It was actually a good piece of play.
And it was the younger Bonetti. Sampdoria cannot silence these Roma drummers. They're beating out a march to victory, they hope, for their team. It's been a long time coming here. We're at the three-quarter mark of the match. Referee is not happy with what he's hearing from the Sampdoria bench. I'm amazed he can hear anything at all in this atmosphere. Lombardo getting the better of Salsono. Oh, and is it going to go across the line? No, because despite the weight of numbers that Sampdoria had, after another excellent effort on the right from Lombardo, the deflection rolled well for Cervoni in the end, when it could have produced the equaliser. Catanets. The most likely route for Sampdoria seems to be through Lombardo. Here he is in the centre at the moment. Oh, and Nella might just be having the occasional glimmer of a thought about what happened last week when he miskicked in the other half and allowed Napoli to go on and grab an equaliser.
I feel now that either team are liable to score a goal. You know, in the first half I always thought that Sampdoria were top, they're playing well, and if anybody was going to score, it was going to be them. But in the second half, I think the game's been more even, Stephen. Lombardo's put some great balls in the box, but Roma's had their chances as well.
Lombardo again, the menace is Silas. The crowd trying to urge Roma to play with pace here, but you need the raw materials in terms of the personnel to get the ball forward. Piacentini, here's Carnevale. Oh, Pagliuca, a terrible mistake. And Giannini may well have wrapped it up for Roma.
Again, the left-hand side of the Sampdoria defence crumbled. Carnevale should never be allowed to get to the byline and get his crossing. But Luca comes out, he makes a bit of a hash of it, and the ball ends up in the back of the net.
And Ottavio Bianchi looks a very clever coach, doesn't he? He sent Carnevale on.
He should get the ball over from that position. Oh, and Pagliuca.
Well, Italy's new goalkeeper blotting his copybook.
But we did sense that either side could have scored, that's right. The game was becoming more and more open as Sampdoria tried to retrieve the situation, getting men forward, and they've always opened to the counter-attack, and they've paid the penalty. But both goals have come from the right-hand side of the Roma midfield, and I felt both times they should never have been allowed to get across it.
Ian Bonetti has come on for Ivano Bonetti. Roma 2, Sampdoria 0. Another catastrophe for the champions. And
well, this is what happens when things are going against you, Martin. I mean, for me, they played pretty well in the first half. But you can't afford to give goals away at this standard of football. And I think they've thrown the goals away.
Russo. Silas. Now Bari, one of a number of players who came close in the first half for Sampdoria when they were in charge, without really unveiling a ruthless streak and going hell for leather to win the game. They seemed satisfied to take what came along. Piacentini maybe wanted to let that run, knowing that he could have then got a pass angled in behind Sampdoria. But you think back to Pagliuca's performances last season, most notably when Sampdoria won that crucial game in Milan against Inter. He hardly made a single slip. And Busso, it still won't run for Sampdoria.
It was great play from Busso as well, great first touch. And you've got to give a bit of credit to the goalkeeper. You know, he makes an excellent save. But great play from Busso. Takes the first touch and he just tries to clip it over the top of the goalkeeper.
Carnevale coming back to tackle.
It was a good tackle. A good tackle for Carnevale.
Well, he's conducting proceedings in a theatrical way. He's playing to the crowd, to the bench.
It's his fan club.
But I thoroughly agree with you, Alan. It was a challenge that got to the ball, but the referee seeing it from the opposite angle. We've had almost 2 minutes of time added on. Lombardo. And still it runs for Roma at crucial stages. Bonetti was lucky to get a second bite at that against Rizzitelli. Labouring up is Bonetti, who's kept it in play and done well to get in across. And Carnevale is there again. What is he up to now? The game goes on. Well, one or two, in fact, his teammates are remonstrating with the referee. They might have been better off remonstrating with Carnevale, because he was taking Roma's life momentarily into his own hands. Even though there was
I think he should save that.
He was fouled.
I think he should save that sort of play for the other end of the pitch, Martin, to be honest with you. He's a bit of a showman, isn't he?
Well, he is today. Catanet's going towards the near post. Headed back by Viercavod. This is Catanets. And now Piacentini. Oh, and Invernizzi's going to be in trouble if there's time for the referee to rule on that, which I don't think there is. Sampdoria have been beaten again. Their terrible run goes on. It was okay for them in the first half when they played in a manner which was easy on the eye, but not productive on the score sheet. But Roma came out with a real sense of purpose. They'll consult the referee before awarding the first goal to Rizzitelli or to Vola. Both got the ball over the line. No doubt about the second from Giannini with the help of Pagliuca and Carnevale's cross. And it's Roma 2, Sampdoria 0. After their scare in midweek at home to Genoa, Milan's unbeaten record looked under less threat against Cremonese, Frank Rijkaard confirming it would be a busy afternoon for the Cremonese goalkeeper Rampula. It took 24 minutes for Milan to break through. Marco van Basten's header, his 7th goal of the season. In fact, it was a Dutch double in the first half. Cremonese found wanting in the air again from Maldini's cross. Ruud Gullit looping his header beyond Rampula's reach. The two scorers in tandem now. Cremonese cut apart again, relieved that they were only 2 goals adrift at half-time. Then suddenly, they were back in the game. Costa Curta's miscalculation on the far side. The linesman allowing Lombardini to go on. A tap-in for Gian De Biagi, 2-1. Milan had replaced Gullit at half-time with Diego Fuser, and it was Fuser who caught out Rampula to restore order for Milan, who were playing against 10 men by now. Bonomi sent off for 2 cautionable offences. Second place Juventus away to Ascoli. Don't be confused here, it's Ascoli in the black and white stripes. And soon in the familiar position of conceding a goal. Jurgen Kohler turning in a Roberto Baggio free kick. 1-0 to Juventus, all that in the opening minute. Ascoli with only 1 win so far. Bruno Giordano trying to repair the damage, which almost worsened at this Baggio corner. Julio Cesar angling the ball towards goal, but it bounced out of the post. Juventus now in command, Casiraghi creating a shooting chance for Baggio. Ascoli unable to plug the gaps. Lupi with a bold break from the back. But not for the first time this season, Ascoli's Zaini caught the eye in a losing cause. Occasionally, his skills really troubled Juventus. The destiny of the points settled early in the second half. Another classic Casiraghi header from another accurate Baggio free kick. 5 goals now for Casiraghi this season. Juventus then had Gallia sent off, so limited their ambitions to seeing out time. Though their margin of victory was threatened here by Pierre Leone. Ascoli 0, Juventus 2. Already Foggia have made a memorable contribution on their return to the First Division. Atalanta's better moments have come away from their Bergamo base, and sure enough, they scored first in Foggia. A clear chance for Niccolini, but the deflection of Consagra ensuring the goal. Atalanta 1 up after 11 minutes. And 2 up 2 minutes later. Carlo Perroni rounding off a clever run. Foggia started the day joint top scorers in the division, and Signori adding to their catalogue of glorious goals. Just what Foggia needed. Superb from Signori. 2-1. Shalimov was close to levelling the count before half-time. Ferron and his fellow defenders protecting Atalanta's advantage. But Foggia found another fabulous goal a minute after half-time. Picasso's stunning shot, and it's 2-2. Foggia favourites now to go on and win. Had Signori scored again here, they surely would have done. They neglected Perroni once more as they pushed forward, and Atalanta had a lead they were able to hold on to. 3-2, their lead now. An acrimonious end, though, to a marvellous match. Minardo and Signori were sorted out here with a red card apiece. And also sent off Atalanta's Cornacchia. When the dust had settled, Atalanta had the points. Lazio were 4th at the start of play. All their wins this season outside Rome's Olympic Stadium. Fiorentina's Branca carved out the game's first opening for Dell'Olio. A sharp turn from Ruben Sosa, Lazio close to taking the lead. That honour, though, went to Fiorentina. Lazio would be annoyed at losing a goal from a set play. Orlando capitalising on a lack of defensive organisation. Fiorentina looking for a second now through Branca. Contributed some useful goals for Sampdoria last season, and then was swapped for Renato Busso. Into the second half, Gabriel Batistuta getting the better of goalkeeper Fiore, but not able to find the right angle for his shot. And Lazio hit back after that let-off. Orlando, until then Fiorentina's hero, blotted his copybook, dealing unfairly with the considerable danger posed by Thomas Doll. Despite the protests, a penalty, and Ruben Sosa taking his total for the season to 5. Lazio may not be able to win at home, but they're still unbeatable away. Torino in team selection turmoil, with Schifo already suspended and then Bruno for 8 games, Pollicano for 4 after their antics against Juventus last week. Sordo, one of the reserves, made a promising start. Casagrande recalled, and his pass found Venturin clear of the Verona defence, but unable to get the ball past the goalkeeper Gregori. It was Luca Marchegiani who stopped Verona, taking advantage of Torino's troubles. A splendid stop from Radu Choiu. And then Magrin's magnificent volley would have produced a winner, but for Fusi on the line. Few highlights, a mediocre match. For Verona, though, a valuable point. Last spring, Cagliari drew 2-2 at Sampdoria, and then by the same score at Genoa at the Luigi Ferrari Stadium in consecutive away games. Now they produced a remarkable hat-trick of results. Genoa's Aguilera trying to free his thoughts from his current off-the-field problems. Signorini had looked a certain scorer for Genoa, the home side taking command. Scuravi and Aguilera, the supporting members of an international cast in this move. Branco blazing away at the Cagliari goal. A Genoa goal inevitable, though Napoli stopped it coming here. Clearing off the line from Aguilera, Cagliari couldn't cope with the corner which followed. Taken by Bortolazzi, but Scuravi shouldn't have been allowed such space from close range. But Cagliari rose to the challenge, in particular Enzo Francescoli. A clever free kick, and it's 1-1. And when Mattioli dispossessed Bortolazzi, another shock in store for Genoa. Fonseca put through by Francescoli. Against all the odds, Genoa were behind. It was a perfect time then for Nicola Caricola, an experienced defender who's won championships with Juventus, to score his first ever goal in the Italian First Division. But Cagliari love coming here, yet another 2-2 draw in Genoa. Next to Naples, heavy showers in the San Paolo Stadium as Bari strove to bring some sunshine into their depressing season. Napoli, though, give little away at home, and Careca remains a constant threat. The goal Bari conceded was a cruel one. Zola's free kick hitting Giampaolo in the wall. He's on the extreme right of the picture. Goalkeeper Albergo, his first game of the season, totally wrong-footed. Napoli had to settle for a number of near misses after that, with Careca searching relentlessly for their second goal. And they almost needed it. Robert Gianni breaking down the Bari left. David Platt charging into the centre, and Zola, more by luck than judgment, stopping Platt pouncing. Bari not getting the breaks, just 3 points from 11 games. Finally to Parma, where there was a special moment for Inter's Davide Fontelan, who missed, you may remember, all last season with a serious knee injury. His first league goal for Inter finally arriving courtesy of a Matteus cross and a Klinsmann challenge. Thomas Brolin broke through for Parma, Zenga in his way, but the goalkeeper was beaten by this extraordinary goal, a perfectly measured lob from Quaggi. 1-1. Jurgen Klinsmann hit the bar before half-time from Bremer's low cross. In the second half, Ricardo Ferri's flick on at a corner claimed by Taffarel. And Klinsmann's earlier misfortune cancelled out by Agostini, who also suffered the agony of finding the frame of the goal. In fact, Parma drop out of the top half of the table. Inter up 1 place to 5th. Lazio stay 4th, Napoli now 3rd. Juventus, who've conceded only 4 goals, and Milan, who've yet to lose, looking very solid in their attempt to win the championship. Just about a third of the season gone. The bottom 3 clubs all lost again. Cagliari drawing on that lucky ground for them. Verona holding a depleted Torino, but Sampdoria's astonishing decline continuing. The word, incidentally, on the first goal that Sampdoria conceded in Rome is that it has been credited to Rizzitelli. His initial shot certainly over the line before it was rescued by Lombardo, and before Rudi Voller was there, like the professional striker he is, to make absolutely sure. The second Roma goal from Giannini showed even more clearly how much Sampdoria's standards have fallen, their slump extending to goalkeeper Gianluca Pagliuca. Vujadin Boskov has to find an answer if he's given the chance.